Welcome back. I'm here today with Reed Wilcox. He is the president of Southern Virginia University. Reed, welcome to today's show.
Thanks, Alan.
So, Reed, you didn't start out in academia, but why don't you give us your background and what led you up to the position that you hold today at the university?
I'm a true outsider. I have never done anything in academics before this, other than go to school. I did undergraduate school at UCLA, and then at Brigham Young University, and then graduate school at Harvard Law School and Harvard Business School. I worked quite a few years and was a partner at the Boston Consulting Group in doing corporate strategy internationally in Paris and in Boston, and for a while in Chicago, and then started several companies of my own. And a few years ago, our family was asked to go lead a mission for our church in France. And so our whole family went over for 3 years and lived in the south of France and worked with the church there. And after I returned, I got involved in a science-based company, and we were just in the process of moving into clinical trials with some advanced nanotechnology, nanomedicine applications in neurology, when I had a call from a friend who said that the board of this university had decided that I should be the president. They would like me to come and be the president. And I was astonished because I'd never done anything like that, and I had never expressed any interest in doing it. But we spent some time, my wife Diane and I went to visit, and felt something quite special there. And at the end of the day, after about a month, we decided this is what we should do. And it made no sense career-wise, but most of what we've done through our lives, we have been kind of spontaneous when the time came to, when opportunities arise. And this was more of a mission, I think, than an opportunity in that sense. But we felt it was the right thing to do. So we came a year ago. We came to Virginia.
So when you're looking at Southern Virginia University, what sets this school apart from other universities?
It's a small liberal arts school, superb faculty, completely out of proportion with the size of the school. Classes are small, kids get a personalized education, and it's in an environment that's a high Christian, high moral value, high moral ethics. So it's a combination of ethical education, really immersion in a positive community and experience, but a superb liberal arts education in addition to that.
Now, when you talk about class size, average class size is roughly?
It's between 15 and 18 probably. So there are some that will be 24 and there are some that will be 6. But these are classes where you need to be prepared. You need to be ready when you go in, and you'll learn a lot. The kids really learn how to think. They learn how to think critically. They learn how to write. They learn how to express themselves. They learn how to evaluate an argument. And they become great artists, or they become great educators. They become great physicians. 40–50% of our kids go to graduate school.
40 to 50?
Yeah.
Wow. And then how is any kids going to medical school too, or? Yeah,
we have a really strong pre-med program, and in fact, our medical school acceptance rate is over 90%.
90%. That has to be well above the average.
It is. It's based on this personalized, mentor-based education system. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting with someone who knows you and is preparing you, and who knows the graduate schools, knows what they're looking for, and helps you decide what are the best options for you. What are the schools that are going to be the best fit for you, and how to put your educational resume in place and the experiences that you need, so that when it comes time to apply, you're able to be successful.
You know, I was back in Oxford University this last spring, and they were talking about the mentorships and how every student is assigned a mentor, and then I went over to Southern Virginia University, and I saw that they're not quite the Oxford, but with the small classroom size and the quality, the caliber of these professors, it's almost like you're getting a mentorship as you go through.
I think that's right. I think that's a good analogy, actually. And the difference between us and Oxford is we have better weather. And we have there's a strong emphasis on ethics and morality.
I'm visiting here today with Reed Wilcox. He is the president of Southern Virginia University. Reed, I need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Great.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod, and
as long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan. Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Reed Wilcox. He is the president of Southern Virginia University. And Reed, we were talking about in the first segment that SVU was really more designed to, as a small classroom size, that the kids got more personal attention. And actually, I think
personalized education.
Personalized education, and the time to graduation is much less.
Well, our graduates average a little less than 4 years, 3.9 years. National average for large and highly recognized universities is 5 to 6.
5 to 6, wow. So,
and there are several reasons for that.
Okay.
There are some structural reasons. The main structural reason is that at most universities, the requirements for specific majors are quite extensive. And often, for example, if a school is a semester-based school, there are 120 hours to graduate, and that would be 15 hours a semester for 8 semesters over the course of 4 years. The issue is that within those 120 hours, often most majors will require something like 80 hours. Now, most people would have to start from day one knowing exactly what they wanted to do and stay the course on that major to be through in 4 years. That doesn't happen very often. Very few kids know what they want to do day one, and 70% change even after they wait a year or two to start. So people will get well down the road on one of these large majors and then come back and rethink it and start over and do something. So it's that there aren't small bites. It's one big bite that has to be taken, and if you don't start the right place at the right time, you just structurally can't do it. We're designed with a curriculum that's much more flexible, and our majors are more like 40 hours, and the rest is a core of broad liberal arts education that's about learning to think and express and write and analyze and evaluate, that's applicable across the board, applicable from biology to English literature. So it's a very flexible, innovative curriculum structure. It's unlike what you'd find at major research universities. And as a result, our kids get through, and our students get through in 4 years on average.
As a student, considering SVU, are there standard SAT scores or ACT scores you have to sit for?
Well, there are, and we'll look at SAT or ACT, and we look at high school grade point average. But you know what? We have found that motivation is more important than high school record with grades. There are lots of kids that just don't get traction until maybe their junior year. And there are lots of kids that on the other hand, have done very well with an athletic program, for example, or a music program, something they really cared about, and they've shown that they can really do something when they're motivated, but they weren't particularly motivated about school. What we look for are kids that show they have motivation. And so we think about it sort of as a motivational aptitude rather than a scholastic aptitude. It's like MAT, motivational aptitude test, if you will. rather than SAT, or as well as SAT. It may be that school is where people excelled because they showed, and that's where they demonstrated their motivation. But we'll take kids who have been who've demonstrated they could work hard in jobs that they had to do because they're supporting their family, and they didn't have time to do well in school. We've had kids, one of our students was born in Liberia, grew up in the inner city in Baltimore, and had really never learned academic skills, but he'd taken care of his family. We brought him in, we taught him how to learn. He's going to graduate this year with honors. He's a great young man. But it was clear he was motivated. He knew how to work and how to discipline himself. And so we're looking for kids that there's more diversity in terms of high school record for grades, but when they come, they learn how to learn. They learn how to learn.
You know, it's interesting, in today's society, we've kind of set a standard of, you know, the ABC and DF, and whether or not they understand concepts, they keep pushing on to the next level.
Yeah, that's right.
Application, though, I find, is so much more critical when you get out into the real world. And it sounds like your school
that's
is more
absolutely true.
emphasized on
That's
that.
absolutely true. And I think when I look back at people I knew, friends that I had, for instance, at Harvard Business School, it's not necessarily the kids who are the top scholars who have been the most successful. What's consistently true is the kids who are doers succeed. The kids who are motivated succeed. That's who we look for. That's what we do.
I'm visiting here today with Reed Wilcox. He's the president of Southern Virginia University. Reed, I need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. I've been visiting here today with Reed Wilcox. He's the president of Southern Virginia University. And in the previous segments, we were talking about the small classroom size of Southern Virginia University, the fact that they had remarkable entrance rates into the medical school. I think you put it at 90% acceptance rate. If I recall, the national average is somewhere around 40, the low 40%. So I want to spend a few minutes going back through the, how do you take a liberal arts school and combine it with, say a person moving into a business degree? And, what happens when you combine those two? I don't think another university in this country is really doing what you're doing.
Well, upon arriving at the school, Alan, one of the things that became, when I looked at this analytically, the way I would have from Boston Consulting Group, looking at strategic assets, one of the things that stood out was that our curriculum had this flexibility that people could accomplish a major in 40 hours. And I looked at that and I thought, all of my experience in doing innovation work is that innovation and creativity are often found at the intersections of disciplines rather than right in the center of them. And that when people are able to combine two different ways of thinking and two different disciplines in which they become expert, they're often, that's a highly fertile area for innovation and for new insight. What this school has been focused on liberal arts, which is really strong educational development. Originally, the whole concept of liberal arts was to liberate the mind of the landed gentry 200 years ago. So this was why people studied philosophy and English and art. They didn't have to work. They needed to be good citizens. In the 21st century, liberal education needs to liberate not only intellectually, but also professionally and economically. So looking at all of this, we felt quite strongly that we needed to combine the way Harvard University actually does, a core of liberal arts with a series of professional schools or professional programs, and structured in a way that every student, and this is what we're moving toward, every student would be able to do 2 majors. Because effectively that's happening now, but we will formalize that. So everyone will have a liberal arts major and everyone will have a professional major. For example, a student who is interested in artistic development and disciplines but wants to go into business can have a major in art and design and a major in business. And I can promise you that student is going to be unique when he goes out to, or she goes out to interview and look for opportunities, and she will be able to do things she would never have been able to do otherwise. And having a dual education, a dual major, a double major, will be a tremendous advantage. No one's doing that. That's happening. My daughter did that at Stanford, at the law school. I did it in graduate school at Harvard. But as an undergraduate program, nobody really is doing that. So we're moving toward becoming a double major, liberal arts plus professional arts school.
You know, it's interesting as we're talking through this and the thoughts coming back. And on my show a few weeks back, I had a individual. He ran the Stanford Department for Artificial Intelligence, and says it's becoming a big area. But he says the more that we're studying artificial intelligence, one thing that we realize is that we can replicate quantitative methods and algorithms, but we cannot replicate the creativity of the human mind. And that's exactly what you're beginning to hit on there at Southern Virginia University.
That's exactly right. And I was with the head of artificial intelligence development for one of the major universities in the country 2 weeks ago. And we were talking about this dual major approach, and he said, Reed, that would be fantastic in computer science because we get kids who are very well technically trained in computer technology, but they've never taken philosophy. He said, philosophy is what's really behind it. He said, so when we approach artificial intelligence, it's like doing artificial intelligence without the intelligence. It's the combination of those two that's so powerful, and no one does that.
That's a
so that's what we're going to do for sure.
Now, as you
and that's a perfect example of a major in philosophy and computer science.
Now, the school is located where?
It's in a little town in the Shenandoah Valley. It's a beautiful place out in the center of Virginia.
I guess is it a college town? Would you consider, or how would you describe it?
Sure. It's a small town, so the university is an important part of the town, and the neighboring town is called Lexington, and Lexington is the home to Washington and Lee University and Virginia Military Institute. So there are 3 colleges within 10 miles of each other, and we're 2.5 hours from Washington D.C.
What's your favorite part of being at Southern Virginia University?
Students are fantastic. The students are great. I love the faculty. I love the interaction with people. It's the people. It's relationships with people. That's what makes the world go round, is relationships. The challenge for me is that I because of the nature of what I do, I have to be away from the school quite a bit. There are lots of interactions with other organizations and people who are not there. So I have to balance that, and it's a constant challenge. But Diane and I love the people there, and it's wonderful to be involved with great young people who are doers, who are motivated, who are trying to make the world better and are committed to doing it. You know, Alan, half of our kids play on an NCAA athletic team. Half. And another third of our kids are involved in a major performing arts program like the choir or the orchestra. Those are astronomical numbers. Everybody basically is involved in some other performing thing that's giving service and performing in front of people and working as a team and doing something extra in addition to school, on top of a demanding school program. So these are kids that are doers. This is a motivationally elite school.
If a person wants to find more information on Southern Virginia University, where would they go?
The website. Website's perfect. And the website was done by our students. You look at the website, compare it to other schools. I think we're as good as any school, and it was done almost entirely by our students, in-house. Southern Virginia University.
All right. So, final note. Anything else for our listeners?
Well, this is a great experiment. We're doing something that hasn't been done, and no one has ever done this combination of liberal arts and professional arts. And this is a new school. The campus is old, but the school itself is really only 20 years old. So for a 20-year-old school, I think it's exciting, and it's going to exciting places. We're going to do things that have never been done before.
Reed, thanks for being on today's show.
Thanks, Alan.